Hey everybody, it's Magic Prepper, and I wanted to share this with you because I find it to be pretty important based on what kind of information is being put out by some of these organizations that are behind these protests we're watching unfold here in the United States as well as in other parts of the world. And we all know that this is an election year, so you can only expect these things to become more contentious. Palestine Action is an organization that supports a lot of these events, and obviously they are well funded, they have backing, and they are well organized. One thing about their particular movement that was concerning to me is an underground guide that they offer to people in the sense of how to take direct action regarding these protest movements. But if you were to take the verbiage in this guide and swap it from protester to any other negative term surrounding the idea of bad guys doing bad things in different parts of the world, then you would see that this is the exact same recruiting tool and guide that those people would use. And of course, thanks to a Canadian news outlet exposing this guide, it's no longer available through their website. You get no results found now when you go to look for it. However, we do have something called the Wayback Machine, and the Wayback Machine luckily gave us the access to see the guide for ourselves. So I wanted to share this with everybody because this underground manual is concerning. There's things in it that obviously are teaching people how to basically become insurgents, if you were to ask me. And there are things in here that, even from a preparedness standpoint, you might want to think about when it comes to your own plans based on the idea of trying to evade a tyrannical situation in the future, I guess is the best way I'm going to say that. Now, I do want to mention that Midway USA is the biggest supporter of the channel. Thanks to them, I can put out videos like this one, give you the information that's available out there, and try to get you better prepared through the equipment that they offer. So a big thanks to Midway USA. And I also want to mention that magicpepperbeef.com is a great place to go if you're looking for long-term survival food in the sense of actual steak, ribeye, New York strip, filet mignon. This is long-term survival food. That's a luxury item that goes into addition with your pantry, and it's a supplementary item that you might want in the sense of having steak along with those rice and beans. So if you go to magicpepperbeef.com, you can use the code MAGICPREPPER to get 15% off. This is not inexpensive. This is high quality, and like I said, a luxury item, but it might be worth having based on your demands. So let's talk about this particular manual, all right? We're going to go ahead and share this screen for you. Okay. All right, so this is the manual. This is the PDF version. I will share a link to this in the description as well as in the pinned comment so you can look through it yourself. But I wanted to give you this overview because this underground manual is obviously something they don't want you to see now since it was removed after being exposed by a Canadian news outlet, okay? Step 1, create a cell. Does that sound ominous to you? I think it does, but here's some of their thoughts on that. A cell is an autonomous group taking actions without detection as part of Palestine Action Underground. To build your cell, it is crucial that you only invite trusted people to take part in it. You don't need loads of people either. Keeping the cell small makes it more secure. 3 to 5 people is an ideal number, but just one person taking action on their own is enough. Consider the verbiage there. However, taking action with other trusted people makes it safer and means you've always got backup with you. So, yes, this is concerning in the sense of how they're trying to establish cells here in the country, which we are all concerned about already. But don't forget, this is also probably decent advice for anybody who wants to start a mutual assistance group or anything along those lines. You need trusted people that you can rely on that can help you have more security during an emergency scenario. Like I said, there's things to learn from this, but it's also very concerning because we all know this is all in the context of protest, but there is no differentiation between this and how you would suggest somebody start becoming something more than a protester, let's just say, okay? So once you've got your cell together, come up with a name. This name can be named after a Palestinian freedom fighter, a play on taking action against a war machine, or anything else that's appropriate, right? So having a name, that way you can know what to call yourselves, I guess. Okay, step 2, pick a target. It doesn't get much more clear than that, right? I mean, this is not just how to be a protester, but this is the framing that this guide uses, and this is why it should concern you. Now you've got your cell, or yourself. It's time to pick your target. Head to our website to find a list of secondary and primary targets who enable and profit from the Israeli weapons industry in Britain. Now, this says Britain, but this does apply to everyone that's using these same guides here in the United States as well, making your job to pick one a slightly easier process. Each is just as culpable as the other, and applying pressure to them is the key to breaking the links which sustain Israel's arms trade. Okay, so you might read this and say, okay, well, they're just picking places to go protest at, right? So this isn't as incendiary as it sounds when they say to pick a target, right? Just wait, there's more to it. I promise, okay? Step 2, pick a target. International. A starting point for research is to make sure you're using a secure browser when looking into complicity companies. Here are some key search terms to use along the country or city you live in. Elbit Systems, Rafael, Teledyne. I mean, they're targeting Israeli weapons manufacturers affiliated companies, basically. But still, keep this in mind as we move forward. There's more to it. I'm telling you, this is not just how to protest. Step 3, prepare for action. When preparing for action, knowing your target and doing an effective reconnaissance, recce, which, interesting term to use in this regard, is vital. Recces provide key information to make your action as smooth and damaging as possible. Damaging. Protests don't usually concern themselves with direct damage. They generally try to just make a point, right, and get their word out, but this goes further than that, of course. Before we get into what information you need to gather, let's talk about not being obvious as F when you do a recce. Depending on where your target is, it changes how you need to act. For example, if it's in the middle of town center, then going for a walk with a friend or by yourself and pulling out a camera to look at the site doesn't look suspicious at all. However, if you're going out in the sticks, walking around an industrial estate with a selfie stick, you'll probably stand out a bit. Ongoing for sites in more rural areas, try asking to borrow someone's dog to take them on a walk, or walk your own dog if you've got one. You can also do a drive-by, but make sure you're getting the key information you need from this. Concern anybody here? Any ideas behind how that could be used in any other capacity besides just trying to find somewhere to protest, right? And they're talking about rural environments in the sticks here as well. This is not just limited to urban areas, but a lot of people in the preparedness community tend to think that way. Now look at this section over here on the right. Key information to find out. Okay, this is what I'm telling you. This is what's being disseminated amongst our youth here in the United States, and they're being influence to actually do these things. And what they don't realize is that they're being recruited to do something much more egregious and malicious than just protest in the future. Places to park before and after during. It's important to find out a car parking space which isn't monitored by CCTV or needs a parking ticket. Security, how many? Are they stationary or moving around? Inside or outside? Where are they looking out onto? Which street? Times of shift change. It's often better not to catch them at shift changes as there will be more staff around. You see what I'm saying? CCTV, location, how many, what is it pointing at and filming? It may be impossible to avoid during your action whilst avoiding CCTV. Okay. What is surrounding the target site? Do they have neighbors, neighboring buildings? Do the neighboring buildings have security? Estimated time of arrival for police. How far away is the local police stations? This starts to sound like a little bit more in depth than just trying to figure out how to form a protest. Fences, how many, where, what type of fences? How high a ladder would be needed to get over fences? Barbed wire, how much and where? Access points to building, fire escapes, etc. Alarms, do you know which sets off the alarm? Whatever sets off the alarm should be done last. Okay. I'm bringing this to your attention because I think it's important, and I think you should be aware of what these people are learning and what they're being told is reasonable to accomplish their goals, and how this could easily be manipulated into the next level of activism, let's just call it. Okay. Step 4, plan your action. Types of action. Now you've done your recce, it's time to nail down your plan. Creativity is vital to keep our resistance effective. When planning for your action, an important starting point is to finalize what you want to achieve. Here are just a few examples of what actions have already been taken. Extinguish your target. Fire extinguishers can be repurposed and filled with blood red paint, so when it's sprayed, it makes a big splash and can cover a massive area within seconds. Perfect for getaway action. Spray paint, smashing windows and exterior equipment. Okay. Oh, I guess I just wanted to zoom out a little bit there. Block their pipes. Block their pipes. Is that how you would possibly, I don't know, get somebody out of their fortified location? You tell me. Break in. Okay, now we're getting into, this is not just protesting anymore. If you're feeling up for it and know the site back to front, then breaking into your target and damaging the contents inside is obviously a very effective tactic. Wow. So blatant calls for illegal activity now. We've jumped the shark. We're no longer just talking about protest, apparently. But according to this guide, that is all it is. Don't worry. This is just activism. Think big. The tactics mentioned are examples of previous actions, so by all means, think big. Try not to limit your action based on what's been done before. Remind yourself when brainstorming different ideas. What could I do to be creative? I wonder if there's any other groups of people with malicious plans that like to get creative and think big when it comes to pulling off their intended event, let's just say. You tell me. Okay. How to get to the site and leave undetected. Wow. And now here's where some of those takeaways can come from for you as well. If there was to be some type of invasion scenario, a martial law situation, a tyrannical clampdown, whatever it might be. I mean, these are things for you to consider, which is unfortunate that there is any overlap here, but there is. And that's why I'm sharing this guide with you as well, not just for understanding a possible threat that exists here within our country, but also understanding what it is they're suggesting people do during these types of scenarios and how it might apply to what you might need to plan for in the future if things keep going the way they are, which is unfortunate to say, but also the truth. By foot, by bike, by car, choose your route. Public transportation. If you're using public transport, do not use your own debit or credit card. Everything is like that in this guide. Don't use anything other than cash. Don't use your name. Don't have your face exposed. All those things are in here, right? But obviously, they're saying bikes are great. For covert actions, bikes are great. A similar principle applies, though, as using a car. Have the bike stored somewhere close to your target, but in a place without cameras. Then go on foot from that point to do the action. Then head back to your bike. See? So, and then they talk about how cars are easy to be caught in and how they have license plates and all this stuff. I mean, everything is in here. This is not just how to go to a protest. Plan your action, crucial elements, roles. If there is more than one of you in the action, which is ideal, you should split up roles between you. I think a lot of us are aware of that when it comes to any type of organization. Equipment. Now you've got your plan down to a T. It's time to get equipped. On this point, it's a good idea to remember that cash is king. When buying equipment, whether it's spray paints or sledgehammers, don't leave a paper or digital trail. Use cash and wear a baseball cap in the store and or face covering, just for extra measure. Obviously, you're going to need the tools to conduct your action. These may include spray paints, making a fire extinguisher, and sledgehammers. It's important to remember when using sledgehammers to get some cut safety gloves. You don't want to get cut and you don't want to leave your blood on the site either. Oh, well, thank you for that. Lovely advice. Make sure a face covering is key. Your clothing is dark. Black is best. Your clothing is baggy. This makes it harder to suss out your body type. Your trainers are very plain. Black ideally. Your whole body is covered. When taking action, never leave anything behind. Absolutely nothing apart from paint and destruction. They didn't mince words there. They mean it when they say destruction. The police may try to forensically analyze any items which are left, so don't leave anything. Okay? Plan your action. Documenting your action. Record. They want you to record it so that you can incite others to do the same, of course. Do not ever take your own personal phone on an action. This is advice that people give when it comes to tactics all the time. If you're doing anything in the tactical realm, people who do that stuff for a living will say, do not have your phone on you. It is a tracking device, and it will be used against you if anything comes thereafter. So this is advice that is universally accepted as being good advice, right? Once you've got your burner smartphone, it's wise to have a Dropbox account set up on the phone. You can set one up using a Proton email address, which you can easily create for free on Proton, which Proton is not as accessible as something like Gmail, which is why they suggest Proton Mail, all that stuff, okay? This is all here. This is what they're suggesting, okay? What if it all goes pear-shaped? Safe meeting place after action. Prepare a safe meeting place if you have to split up, and scarper, which I don't know if that is the same as scamper maybe, or if they just mean like run away. This should be far enough away from the site to be safe, but not too far away that it would take too long. You should agree a length of time you would wait there until those who've arrived at the meeting place leave. This is very similar to how someone might plan a bug out scenario and meeting up at a bug out location. Legal. Now, even though you're planning to get away, you must be prepared and take into account the risk of getting caught. You can do everything possible to minimize this, but this is a very real possibility. Make sure that your cell is aware of the potential legal consequences. This will obviously be dependent on the action you take, and that's why it's important you do your own research on this. We recommend using Kelly's solicitors if you do end up head. Okay? Listen. I think something that's highly underrated in the preparedness community is legal defense. And if you don't at least even have the phone number of a potential lawyer that you might use in a situation where you get caught up, I don't know, in something regarding like the ATF, for example, or anything else, then you're doing yourself a disservice. You should have that research done and take that action now while you can do it during a time of, low stress. And then if that ever happens, you know exactly what number to dial. So keep that in mind. Okay, step 5, take action. Here it comes. Adrenaline and nerves will be pumping through you at the same time. This is normal. Make sure you run through your plans right before taking action another time to make sure everyone is on the same page. Then go for it. The day has come, your action is planned, you're all equipped and ready to go. Good luck. I'm telling you, this is not just for protesting. This is very clear in my opinion, and I want to know in the comments below what you think, but this is not just for activism. Step 6, post-action. You've just sabotaged a complicit company. At this point, you want to make sure to destroy all evidence, all of it. Remember to get the pictures off the burner phone, remove the EXIF data from any pictures, edit out any identifiable points in video footage, voices or faces, and then send them into actions@palestineaction.org so that they can, use it for propaganda. Okay. Step 7, technology. Here's your stuff you got to figure out. How to set up Signal with a burner phone, right? So they're telling people how to use encrypted communication networks on burner phones that don't have any ties to them. I mean, this is stuff that, like I said, there is some overlap here that you might want to consider in the sense of how to make yourself less accessible and less trackable and everything else regarding whatever future might come our way. But is this that necessary to just go protest? Of course not. Protesting, especially here in the States, is a legally allowed action. But this is beyond that. This is beyond that. Step 7, security. We could write a whole book on this subject. But hey, firstly, it would be out of date by the time we wrote it with the rapid change of specially digital security. Okay? So they're telling everyone how to use VPNs, how to get different items regarding remaining anonymous and protecting their identity during these actions. So tell me in the comments below, is this more than just a guide to how to protest for these events? I believe it is. I think that this is a recruiting tool. I think that this is the beginner's guide to the next level of activism that usually has a more extreme approach. And this is going to get influentially susceptible young people to join their ranks before they realize they're even doing it. And that's why I wanted to share this with you, because I find this to be really important. This is what people are being given. This is what they're reading, and this is what they're acting upon thereafter. And this is not far-fetched to believe it's a segue into something much more dangerous. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like I said, I'll have links to this manual in the description as well as the pinned comment. Understand that, they took it down and now you're sharing it, so you're part of the problem. No, I'm sharing it because you should know about it, because you need to be aware of what's being put out there and what these people are actually buying into, so that you understand the security threat and the risk of being involved with these crowds or events or even nearby some of these locations. Not to mention, you understand now what their targets are. And now if you're nearby one of those targets, you have things to consider. Maybe you work for one of these companies. These are all things that you should be aware of, that if this information isn't put out there, you remain in the dark, while the people who are using this information against you still have access to it no matter what, right? They just took it down publicly because of the bad press they were suddenly receiving. But this is still being given to everyone who requests it. I guarantee you that. Anything else you need from me at all, go to magicprepper.com. And besides that, that's going to be it for Magic Prepper.